Season in the books, we have some serious catching up to do.
That's right, Josh. Some of the Section 7 teams have made it into the postseason, and also baseball season has begun in the North Country. So we're going to get you guys caught up with all the sports that happened over the past couple weeks.
We'll be right back, so please stay tuned here to SRL on PSTV.
It's my PSTV, and I want it now!
It's my PSTV, and I need it now!
It's my PSTV, and I need it now!
My PSTV, and I want it now!
It's your PSTV. Watch it when you need it.
Oh no.
PSTV's off the air. No!
Welcome back to SRL. Tonight we have a lot of high school basketball games, some sectional hockey games, some sectional basketball games, some hockey games, and a lot of other sports that we need to discuss.
And later on the show, we'll preview a few baseball games coming up.
Since we have been away, we do have a lot to cover here in Section 7. There are a lot of playoff games that were hosted at the Plattsburgh State Fieldhouse as well, right here on our campus. And now, the Plattsburgh State Fieldhouse is a pretty unique venue. It's meant to host a lot of indoor track events, so it's a rubber gym, which creates a different feel on bouncing the basketball, and it's a lot grippier than most gyms that you see in high school.
That's another reason why we play at Memorial instead of the Fieldhouse for our college team. And that's got to be different for a lot of the high school teams coming in. You get used to playing on your own home court, and even all of your opponents that you go to, they all have the normal gym floors, and you play on the rubber floor for one of the first times, especially during the playoffs. That's something tough to get used to.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that some teams didn't even struggle at all. Mariah still was able to score 45 points in their game. They did very successful. And it was pretty good to see how a team could adapt like that to a new setting. Yeah,
and it comes to traveling long distances too. You travel a long distance and you come in and you play on a rubber floor. Things aren't really going your way, so it really shows what you have as a player and as a team coming in and winning these games.
Yeah, and during a lot of these games, SUNY Plattsburgh is actually hosting the SUNYAC Finals, which gets us onto the topic of hockey, which the Lake Placid did travel all the way down to Utica to play one of the state semifinal games, so let's check it out. The Lake Placid boys hockey team traveled all the way down to Utica last week for the state semifinal game against the Williamsville East Flames. With a nail-biter game at hand, the Flames forward Jack Kelly scored late in the game to tie it all up, snipping the Blue Bombers goalie Tucker Angelopoulos late in the third period. The Blue Bombers had missed 7 power play opportunities to capitalize on. With the tie game, the Bombers had one final man-up advantage and could not score. As the game looked like it was going to be sent into overtime with a 2-2 tie, Dylan Cicero scored with just over a minute to go, making the final score 3-2 Flames. And that is definitely a heartbreaker for Lake Placid, and being such a powerhouse this season here in Section 7, and they travel, and it's just such a close game in the finals. And both teams knew walking away from that game that we could have lost, we could have won. It was
Yeah.
very even the whole way through, and it was almost seemed like a lucky goal at the end.
Those are the good playoff games. You want to see close games towards the end. You don't want to see blowouts and stuff like that. And especially with close games, both teams feel like they could have won and they could have gotten the championship. And it's sad walking away from, but it's definitely something you can build off of moving into the next season.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning experience for both those teams, especially since Lake Placid was definitely riding a high horse after having 24 wins this season. They were absolutely killing it. And to be upset like that to the Flames, I mean, that's hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Up next, we have some girls' basketball games, and it's Keene Central versus Mariah High School. Start things off in the first half here. Keene Central starts off with the ball as Taylor Greger, 0-0, sends it off to Emily Smith, number 10, for a three-pointer. As you see it going right there. Moving on, Mariah with the ball now. Madison Olcott, number 14, goes underneath Mackenzie Harris to Madison Stahl, who gets the and one underneath and makes the foul shot following. Moving on next, you got Hannah Whitney with a contested three here. Looks for the foul afterwards, but does not get it as she gets the three to go, though, giving 3 more points for her team. Moving on to the second half now. Keene starts out with the ball as Caitlin Pelkey, number 23, gets the ball stolen from Hannah Whitney of Keene and gets it up for the contested layup on the other end. Up next, you got Mariah with the ball as Madison Stahl gives out to Caitlin Pelkey to Lauren Cross for another three. She hits it there, gets 3 points for her team. Madison Pelkey, number 23, over to Madison Olcott, gives it back to Pelkey for a long three, as she gets 3 more, which helps give Mariah a win 45-40 against Keene Central there in the playoffs on Plattsburgh's home court. (45-40), they're still putting points down, so it didn't have too much of a differential in their gameplay, but obviously, it had to affect them some.
Yeah, and especially with a team like Mariah, boys and girls basketball, they're both complete powerhouse teams here in Section 7, and they just showed Keene Central, that they weren't messing around.
Yeah, and that's another traveling long distance to play on a new court. That sort of feel again, a lot of new things. Playing on a new court in a new place. You got your fans traveling with you, which definitely help, as you have all your family and friends there to cheer you on. So that's definitely something that they can look forward to, especially moving on to the tournament.
Yeah, it's always good having that mentality of people came to see you play. Yeah. It always gives an extra boost to an athlete. Being a high school athlete myself, seeing some of my friends in the audience or in the crowd, and it just gave you a little extra boost to get a little extra effort.
Especially when you're a senior.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It definitely puts forth some more effort. Up next is a boys basketball game between Ticonderoga and Northern Adirondack. Starting things off in the fourth quarter here, Northern Adirondack starts out with the ball as Bailey Cross, number 22, sends it out to Ethan King for a wide open three. He gets that to go with those bright green shoes of his. Up next, you got Ticonderoga with the ball as Evan Graney, number 1, gets a layup to go, giving his team 2 more points. Up next, you got Northern Adirondack with the ball as Johnson 10, number 12, with the layup there, gets through 2 defenders, gets the ball to go. Next, you got Ticonderoga with the ball as Pick Chapman, number 22, gets it to Evan Graney, and he goes off with an off-balance 3, gets to that ball to go. As see with the replay here is behind the back save as Ticonderoga gets the ball, or NAC gets the ball rather, and throws it all the way down the court to Johnsonton, number 12, and gets that great pass there. As they're holding their trophy up, they got their brand new plaque that they're going to bring it up to bring back to their school, and 59-46, Northern Adirondack with the win. And that was a great game too, not only because it's the championship game, but there was just great effort shown by both teams and all the players obviously playing for all they got out in that rubber court.
Yeah, and you can tell watching that game that Northern Adirondack won it just a little bit more, like with the random efforts of running out of bounds to try to get that jump behind the back save. It's little things like that that really help you lead to a championship.
Yeah, and the effort from the kids, shown the seniors, like I said before, you're playing for your final year. You give it all you got, and especially families traveling, as I said. It's great to see that in high school sports. You get a lot of fans out there cheering for their team.
And especially knowing when it could be one of your last games that you're playing when it comes into playoffs in your senior year, you got to give it all you got.
Yeah.
But coming up next, we will find out, did the Vikings remain undefeated in their game?
And who won the Plattsburgh High versus Beekmantown game? Stay tuned to SRL to find out.
Hello there. Now I know what you must be asking yourself, and yes, I am that one from your dreams. You're probably wondering where you can see more of me. Well, you're already watching PSTV, and I'm everywhere. PSTV is a college-run student television station where many...
And you're done in there, you still have laundry to fold.
For f***'s sake, Mom, I'm trying to get work done! Jeez.
So I just found out that the cameras here are $30,000. $30,000. You're late. Again. Go ahead, take a seat. So before I was rudely interrupted by a certain someone, what are you doing? What is this? Well, Bergie, I hope that call is really important because, well, you've been fired. And we found someone to take your place.
Welcome back to SRL right here on PSTV.
Yeah, now we got a lot more games that we have to discuss, and we got tons of basketball coming up, and I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, that tournament was huge this last weekend, and like you said, the hockey was going on at the same time too, so that entire building was just filled with a bunch of passionate fans for a lot of different teams.
Yeah, lots of yelling and screaming. I was at the SUNYAC game, and during that, you could even hear the basketball fans going nuts too.
Yeah,
in
those
between
games were in and
breaks.
out.
It was pretty crazy. So yeah, let's get to it. Our next game is a girls' basketball game, and it's the Ausable Valley Patriots versus the Northern Adirondack Bobcats. So let's take a look at it. Coming up in this first half, we got Taylor Durnan dumping it right to McKenna McGee for a nice midway two-pointer. And now for Ausable Valley, you're going to see Megan Strong pass it right to Madison McCabe for a great three-pointer, wide out. Northern Adirondack will soon respond with McGee once again as she inbounds it to Durnan. And now we're going to have Ausable Valley with McCabe pass it over to Strong. He's going to go in, pass two defenders for a nice one-handed underhand layup. And now for Ausable Valley in the second half, we're going to have Madison Rondow, number 15, pass it to Vanessa Garrow for a nice contested layup. Northern Adirondack would not back down with this wonderful foul shot, draining it in. The final score of this game, Northern Adirondack 78, Ausable Valley 68. A great effort by the Bobcats here in this section final. So now we end the season with Northern Adirondack having a 14-8 overall record and a 12-2 league record. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Ausable Valley came into this game a pretty big underdog with 9 wins, 11 losses this season, not 500, and they stayed with the team who was well over 500, and they only lost by 10. So they showed some great pride and great effort coming from pretty local, coming to Plattsburgh here to play in the sectional games.
Yeah, and it's really good to see Section 7 still holding their ground with some true favorite teams.
Yeah, especially into that big field house, the big gym, and the rubber floor, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Last week, the Peru girls basketball team traveled to Troy, New York to face Jamesville DeWitt in the Class A regional final. The Indians had trouble maintaining possession throughout the whole game and missed their first 20 shots from the field, while the Red Rams played flawlessly. The only player for the Indians to hit double digits was Megan Mazzella, while the Red Rams had 2 players outscore her. For Jamesville DeWitt, Syracuse's head coach Jim Boeheim was in attendance to see his daughter Jamie win a regional final. The final score was 63-30, Jamesville DeWitt. And you know, Jim Boeheim being there was also a pretty big deal too, and seeing his daughter play, I'm sure, was a big lift of spirits.
Yeah, definitely, especially being such a big basketball icon nowadays. I would have been freaking out if I was in that crowd, just seeing him there, and actually having the chance to meet him. He was actually signing a lot of autographs at the game too, so imagine being a fan there, you just happened to stumble upon Jim Boeheim just at his daughter's basketball game. It'd be a pretty cool experience as a fan too.
His daughter, as well as his team, obviously playing well. If you double the opponent's score, 63-30, that's a pretty big margin of victory. So I'm sure that was a pretty one-sided game, though. I'm sure Peru also, put their heart out on the court. It just didn't show in the final score.
Yeah, very true. I mean, they did miss their first 20 shots, but sometimes shots just don't go in. And Jamesville DeWitt is such a powerhouse too, and lots of other sports too as well. But let's keep moving on in these basketball stories. And now we're going to discuss the Plattsburgh Hornets versus the Beekmantown Eagles in the Section 7 Class B championship game. So now coming up in this first half, you're going to have one of the stars for Beacontown, Mickey Pepper, pass it right to Justin Stevens for a nice contested layup. Coming up for Plattsburgh, they answer quick with Alex Fulmer passing it to Brady Chanel for a drain three. Nice wide and open for Beacontown coming in now. Check out this layup from Alex Price. 1, 2, 3 defenders going through with a nice underhand too. Those fans are going absolutely crazy for him. So now coming up in the second half, Couture for Beacontown has the ball stolen from from Plattsburgh. Price steals it for Beacontown, and he sends it over to Stevens, and a nice, easy jump shot. Nice being able to isolate the defender. And here comes Plattsburgh's Nat Huey, passing it right to Fulmer. A wide open three, going absolutely insane, draining those threes that game. And here comes Mitch Senecal, passes it right to Couture. The final three of the game. This game was a nail-biter. Plattsburgh ends up winning it 56-54, taking the Section 7 Class B basketball title. Certainly an impressive effort, especially with this season. And now that's certainly a big game here in Plattsburgh. Such a local game with Beacontown only being 20 minutes down the road from the field house. And they were once again playing on that rubber gym floor, so it was good to see both teams adjust to it. And it was a well-fought game by both teams.
Yeah, that's the total opposite from most of the games we've been talking about. A lot of teams traveling from hour plus away, coming in and playing in different arenas. This is just basically home court for almost both teams. You have a lot of home fans coming in, and not only was that like a championship game, that was a really close game throughout, and I'm sure the fans and where they came in from made a huge difference in the outcome of this game.
Yeah, and especially coming here, Plattsburgh winning their own home title in their own town. It's got to be pretty great for them too, especially the seniors on the team once again.
Yeah.
But let's keep moving on with these basketball stories. Along with this Class B championship, we had the Class D championship game between Mariah and Keene Central School. So now we're going to start this game out, this highlight in the second half with a nice putback from Taylor Slattery. Check this out. He had 20 points on the game, easily the star of the game for Mariah. So now we're going to see Colton Venner with a nice long three pass over to Austin Brown. He was on fire that game. Now we're going to have Mariah coming back. Joe Stahl passes it to Adam Jakich, back to Jared McDougal, and he drains it. Doing a great job isolating the defense. Now we're going to see Colton Venner with a nice layup with one-handed, going straight up. And coming up for Mariah, Joe Stahl once again goes in and gets fouled. He will eventually make those two shots. And the final score of this game, 56 Mariah, 42 Keene. Mariah living up to their name as one of the best teams in Section 7. Taylor Slattery had 20 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists, and a steal on this game, easily being the star of that game.
Yeah, and we saw the girls' team play earlier, so the guys' team and the girls' team playing the same teams in the same arena on the same day. So that's some familiarity there, and once again, playing on that floor, coming from more than an hour away, you had the same sort of feel for both of these teams today as Mariah wins this one.
Yeah, Mariah easily sweeping it in the field house this week. Last week, excuse me, and they just complete basketball powerhouse this season. Congrats to them.
Yeah, they've had a great year.
Yeah, most definitely.
Did Northern Adirondack win against Lake George?
Did the Bobcats girls basketball team win against Cooperstown? Stay tuned and find out.
Audio board.
Open mic.
Rundown.
That's what happened.
So, son, are you watching PSTV?
What's PSTV? Should have been watching PSTV. Let's try this one more time.
So, son, are you watching PSTV?
You know it, Dad.
Good going, sport.
Now that's explosive television. Isn't that right, guys?
Welcome back to SRL. We're now going to cover some more playoff basketball games.
Yeah, we also have to discuss both Northern Adirondack games, and later we will also be talking about the upcoming baseball season.
But to start things off, we're going to go with the Northern Adirondack boys basketball game versus Lake George. Starting things off in the first half, we have Josh Juntinton from Lake George, number 12, gets the ball stolen from Dustin Millars, and he gives it off to Joel Bukowski for the nice, easy layup there. Next, we got NAC, Steven Petrea with the ball, gives it out to Ethan King for a long three. Falls in the air forever, gets it to go with those bright green shoes of his, beautiful. Next, we got Lake George with the ball. Kyle Jones, number 3, gives it out to Bukowski, to Andrew McGowan underneath the basket. Number 44 gets it and 1 underneath, makes the free throw following. Up next with NAC with the ball, Juntinton with a floater, gets it to go. Second half of the game now, NAC starts out with the ball as number 11, King for NAC with the ball, gets it to go. Another long three way out there, NBA range, and show him what he's got there on the Plattsburgh court. Next, Lake George with the ball, Dylan Hubbard, number 21, gives it to Kyle Jones with a wide open three. He gets that to go, show him what he's got. And NAC here with a missed shot towards the end of the game as Pereira tries to get it to go, just wouldn't go for him. However, Lake George with 48 points and Northern Adirondack with 34 as they end up winning this game. And that's another lower scoring game, but still, you know, they'll left it out on the floor there for them tonight.
Yeah, especially against Lake George, one of those teams. They are one of the top Class A teams in the state with basketball. They're always a great team, on par with the same type of talent as Mariah. They're a very fast-moving team, very forward-moving, and they just got so many tall guys out there.
Yeah.
And a great effort by Northern Adirondack, but I mean, against a team like Lake George, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Just last week, Northern Adirondack's girls basketball team took a devastating loss in the Class C state championship to the Cooperstown Hawkeyes. The Bobcats of Northern Adirondack were the underdogs in this matchup and have a lot to be proud of. Just 5 years ago, the Bobcats suffered a winless season and bounced back as a successful program within 5 years. This season, they had a successful record of 25-5 and took their second consecutive Section 7 title. The Bobcats do have some rebuilding to do next season with the loss of 4 starting seniors, though.
That's crazy. That having that many seniors, leaving is especially 4 to 5 year starters is going to be a huge hit to them next season.
Yeah, especially it's 80% of their team, of their starters all.
We're now going to discuss some of our game of the week, and that is between the undefeated Mariah Vikings versus Germantown, the Clippers of Section 2. Starting things off in the first half, we have Jaquish, number 24, to Trombley for 3 for Mariah, as you see all their Viking fans there in attendance. Now we got Germantown underneath, 24 to number 4, number 5 underneath the basket gets it to go. And Mariah now with the ball, Slattery number 10 to Joe Stahl, number 4 gets a 3. Wide open over there in the top of the key as he gets 3 more for Mariah. Going to the second half now, play Mariah with the ball again as Stahl once again, he gives it back to Slattery, who just gave him the assist in that last play for a layup here. Pretty easy layup. Now Germantown, as number 12 here, gives it out to number 2 with a face mask on the side of the court, gets it to go, the 3 for them. Their team's going crazy. As Mariah now with the ball, Slattery misses a 3, and the rebound goes to Stahl, who gets it up and goes in with a layup as he goes around 3 defenders, and he gets the foul as he gets a 3-point play there. As Mariah wins this one against Germantown, 59-49, as they win by 10. And you see here, Jaquish, our player of the game, with 24 points and 16 rebounds with that double-double. Almost a triple-double. He had 8 blocks as well.
Yeah, he was destroying it out there, and you got to give him props for it because he's been on fire all season. He's been putting up numbers like that in regular season games, not just the playoff games. So you can see, of course, he has the clutch gene in him with that playoff game, but throughout the season, you can see he's got the talent as well. Yeah,
he's definitely keeping consistent in the playoffs, which is really what you want going into the playoffs, especially like we said, Mariah traveling to the court, and he's keeping it going from coming from Mariah, and they're playing well. So
yeah, exactly. Mariah is always one of those basketball powerhouses that we tend to see in Section 7 every year. And let's get on to our next story. March 27th marked the last game most of the seniors from North Country would play for their respective schools. The Northern Basketball League boys senior game did not disappoint with a total of 221 points scored in the game. Caden Baugh ended his high school basketball career with 12 field goals and 6 free throws for 35 points, as well as winning the 3-point contest and the overall crown. Baugh's team ended up short in the effort, 116-105, favoring the dark team. Other local seniors included Plattsburgh's Nate Huey with 23 points, Beekman Town's Brandon Provost with 22, Ticonderoga's Garrison Hughes with 19, and Peru's Rivelino Hendricks with 14.
Now it's quite a high-scoring game.
Yeah, it definitely showcased a lot of the talent here from all of Section 7, Division 1 and 2. And Caden Baugh, once again, we always see him killing it in the season. And Nate Huey from Plattsburgh had a lot of clutch plays when they won sections for Class B. And it's really cool to see all these players come together. And you can tell that they're just in it for the love of the game.
Yeah, especially for the senior game. You know, you're playing, that's going to be one of your last games out there on the court. And you leave it all on the court on that game. And it's like kind of what Baugh said, it is like a pickup game between all your friends and everything, which it's good to see. It's like the NBA All-Star game, sort of fun there. Not much defense, but a whole lot of offense.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with basketball coming to an end with these seniors in their final seasons, we do have baseball coming up this spring, and both Beekmantown's team and Plattsburgh's team they're actually in Myrtle Beach right now this week. They're playing tons of games against 64 teams across the nation. And they are looking to get some crazy competition out there. And it's good to see they're getting out some early games this season.
Yeah, that'll be a huge experience for them. And traveling like that, and it's just going to be a fun week for all these players to go down to warmer weather down in Myrtle Beach. And it's just going to be a great week. They'll remember it for the rest of their lives, I'm sure.
Yeah, one of my buddies back home, he was on a team, and they went to Myrtle Beach. And he said that he kind of forgets the baseball part. He loves all the water parks and all the time on the beach with his family. It was a big family event, and they said it was just a great overall experience, and lots of pros were there to see him, and it's one of those lifetime experiences that you get with playing there.
And with all of these games wrapping up at the Plattsburgh State Fieldhouse, we're wrapping up here as well, as we're out of time. And thank you for joining us tonight, and stay tuned in the upcoming weeks as we'll be discussing some of the new spring sports coming into play here. For Jack Moore, I'm Josh Zinzer. Have a good night.